Hi, I'm Rob, and in this Gems of War video, going to take a look in the Soulforge and tell you what is good and bad in there this week. Also going to take a look at this weekly event troop, the Doombat, and see what we make of that. Anyway, it steals magic +1 life from an enemy, then converts 4 yellow gems to Doom Skulls. Gains 4 life when an enemy dies, cannot be targeted by spells, and summons a Doomstorm at the start of battle, which kind of in a way should help its spell, but it may work against you at the same time, which is why I like it and why I don't like it at the same time. The stealing life is really good, because that's effectively true damage, taking it from the enemy, giving it to yourself. But that converting 4 yellow gems to Doom Skulls, you don't really have any control over. If there's only 4 yellow gems on the board, you can see what they're going to do. Otherwise, it's a bit of a lottery, and that thing could get you into some trouble. Whatever you gain on stealing life, you could actually lose on another troop by getting some damage from Doom Skulls instead. So yeah, kind of good and kind of bad. So right in the middle, 5 out of 10 for you. It's nothing great, but get it anyway. Always good to get these troops up to a mythic level if you can. Always good to have more troops at the highest level. Anyway, I once had a Swiss ex-girlfriend, because basically things did go wrong when we went back to her homeland. I had to dump her in the end. There was just too many red flags. Right, let's pop into the Soulforge then. Let's take a look at what's going in there. Going to take a look at the weapons first. Not going to go over all the ones that are here all the time. They're in my Soulforge extra video, so that'll be in a link in the description below to have a gander at if you need to see some of them. First up, we have Wall of Oblivion. Steal all of an enemy's armor. So basically taking all their armor in one go, no matter how much they've got, and adding it to yourself. So that can be really effective in certain teams. If the enemy is a boss, deathmark all other enemies. Not bad. Not bad at all. Doomed Scythe, one of my favourite doomed weapons. Deal magic +3 damage to all enemies with a +1 per temporary level boost. Convert yellow gems to Doom Skulls. If the enemy has a doom, create 5 more and gain 3 mana for each purple enemy. So that's just good enough on its own. That damage to all, with that boost, with the yellow to Doom Skulls, and you can see if they're going to make a 4 match, you can get an extra turn and things like that. That's really good. But if you're fighting purple enemies as well, it's just the icing on a cake. And yeah, fantastic weapon. Really do like the Doomed Scythe. Mace of Galvania. Kind of the anti-Galvania weapon in the way. Purple is the colour which Galvania troops like the most. And you remove all purple gems with no effect. You just take them all away, making it tricky for the opponent team to get mana if they require purple. Deals magic-based damage to an enemy, boosted by the amount of gems removed. If the enemy is from Galvania, or if the battle is in Galvania, deal double damage. So it's effective in the right situation. Axe of Leeching. I think it would be if you get hit by it. Deals magic-based damage to an enemy, boosted by Galvania allies. Then creates a mix of 6 red and purple gems for each Galvania ally. So creates red and purple, uses green and brown. So make sure a couple of those troops in your team from Galvania are using red and purple to make the most of all that juicy leeching mana. Wonder Stars isn't in my Soulforge extra video because it came out after that was made. But yeah, fantastic weapon. You basically need to get this. If you haven't got it already and you've got the resources, just craft it. Choose one. Create 6 elemental stars, bless all allies, or create 7 umbral stars and curse all enemies. Not only is it a good mana generator, which it can backfire now and again, but it goes right more than it goes wrong, but the fact that you get that bless on the first one, bless is like a super cleanse. You get cleansed, and as well as that, you get given the effect of being impervious, which is really, really good across your whole team. Absolutely fantastic. And curse does kind of the opposite. If there's impervious teams on the opponent's side, it actually renders them normal troops, or if they've got stuff like submerge and things like that, it takes it away. Really, really good weapon. Absolutely the best in the game without a shadow of a doubt. And what else have we got? Bloodkeeper. Deals damage to an enemy boosted by purple and undead allies. So a basic damage weapon with boost. Blood Crusher. Deals magic +3 damage to the first 2 enemies boosted by undead allies. So another basic damage with a boost weapon. Nothing too fantastic. And that is it. So that is it for the weapons. Moving on to the troops. Especially if you're a newer player, pop through all these summoning stones of the various colours. See if there's anybody there which you haven't got, and if you like the look of them, then maybe roll the dice and see if you can pick them up. But what you're particularly looking for is anybody that's got a empowered start, which means a troop like this starts battles with full mana. Super handy in so many battles, and if the converting of gems is relevant to your team, then yeah, putting these in your team can give you a really nice fast start a lot of the time. So just pop through them all and have a quick look at what's there. Right, let's take a look at the mythics now. Start at the bottom and work our way up. Who we got first? Yeah, Phoenicia first. Absolutely awesome troop. Really, really good. Deal magic +1 damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there's a firestorm, deal double damage. It's very easy to get a firestorm in this game just by using Sunspear class. If you've got that trait for that, you'll start a firestorm literally every single turn and guarantee getting that lovely double damage. So Phoenicia, absolutely amazing troop. Really, really good. Champion of Anu. Silence, stun and drain all mana from an enemy. Deal magic based damage to them and all enemies below. Sounds okay, but there's a lot of troops which do a similar thing and kind of in a better way at the same time. Traits are okay though. Reduced damage from skulls by 60% is effective and good. And all blue allies gain 1 to all stats at the start of each turn. Can actually catch some players out sometimes if they don't actually kill it off and they just leave them, and he just keeps on gaining those stats every single turn, making it harder and harder to kill him. So yeah, but nothing fantastic at the same time, I don't think. No, War and Abynissia, two of the early mythics in the game. War, I do believe, was the very first mythic ever introduced to the game, and it's starting to show because the power creep in the game has just left him in the dust. Burn all enemies. Deal magic +1 damage to an enemy boosted by my attack. Gain an extra turn if the enemy dies. Nothing special at all for a mythic these days. The traits are still actually okay though. 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage can be effective when you get some decent skull damage going. Reflect 25% of skull damage and gain 3 attack at the start of each turn. But yes, War indeed is very much showing his age, and it's actually very difficult to make a decent team based around him because he's just not that great. Abynissia. I do remember using Abby quite early in the game when she was one of my earliest mythics. I think War and Abynissia were the first mythics I actually got in the game, so at the time they were relevant because I didn't have a great deal of troops, so she became actually one of my go-to troops because exploding all gems of a chosen colour was really good for getting a lot of mana, and a summon as well, backing things up if things started to go wrong and I lost a troop. So yeah, she was okay, but not so much anymore. Like, you don't see her very often. These early mythics have been superseded basically by better ones and a lot of even potentially better just legendaries. Like, we'll come to Drakos in a minute and compare that to Champion of Anu, and our Champion of Anu is probably more like it. He's more a chump than a champ, to be honest, but hey, let's not go down that road. So yeah, that's the mythics. Let's take a quick look at the legendaries. Don't usually say to craft legendaries unless there's something special like a Tesla or a Yao Guai. Something like, it was basically better than a lot of mythics anyway. But let's take a look at what we got here. We have, yeah, that is the bottom one, Triton. Dealing magic-based heavy splash damage to an enemy boosted by blue gems. Then give all merfolk 4 magic. But one of the handy things about him is that Sea of Hope. All merfolk allies start with 50% mana. And summons an ice storm at the start of battle, which is blue. So good for a quick start on a merfolk team. And next we have Ulf Harrigan. Do like Ulf. Really, really good troop this. Deal magic +3 true damage to 3 random enemies. If an enemy is wounded, deal 10 extra damage and has a summon at the same time. Really good spell. It's just a bit of a shame that the traits are a bit naff. Reduced damage from skulls by 25% is just alright, and true banding has just been kind of abandoned by the devs. Gain 1 to all my skills for each ally with a banding trait. In other words, if you had other troops with banding, you can gain 1 to all skills, but there's like literally a handful of troops in the game which have that, and it was like something which seemed to be literally forgotten about by the devs. But hey, the spell is good though. And we have Ursuvius. Dealing magic +1 damage to all enemies, boosted by burning and enraged allies and enemies. So a basic damage to all the troop. Can get its boost from its 3rd trait at the same time, so not too bad. And this brings us to Drakos. Remember Champion of Anu, a mythic. Silence, stun and drain all mana from an enemy and deal magic based damage to them and all enemies below. So stun, drain, mana, not too bad. But Drakos, a legendary and much less mana cost, also silences, stuns and drains magic +1 mana from an enemy with a 30% chance to destroy them. I mean, that does the same kind of thing. It does damage to the troop and all enemies below, but you have to cast it on the top troop to get the most damage, obviously. If I was going to have one or the other, I think I'd rather have that 1 in 3 chance, basically, of just destroying someone absolutely outright. And that's a legendary, so yeah. It is what it is. And that is it. So, who gets my Mythic of the Week? Well, it's certainly not going to be one of these two of the earliest ones in the game. More collectible than anything now, and Champion of Anu is more Champion of Anu, even though he can be useful sometimes. But this is an easy one. This easily goes to Phoenicia, dealing magic +1 damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. And if there's a firestorm, which is easy to get, deal double damage. So really good. Who ordered the spicy wings, she said. Yes, indeed. Right, that's it for the Soulforge video. I'll be back later on with my world event team with a couple of expanded teams. I'm going to show some non-mythic teams or a non-mythic team rather, and a mythic option for that because people have been asking for it. But there it is, there's the video. If you enjoyed it, found it useful or helpful, it'd be really cool if you bash that like and subscribe button. It really does help. But most of all, thanks for watching. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now.